Welcome to be in the garden. Welcome to be in nature. I trust you are well. I certainly am. In today's video, an update in the July garden. What am I doing in the bushes? Well, actually, I am harvesting some blackberries. Delicious! As you know, we've already harvested a lot of the blueberries and there are still many to go. We've been eating tayberries. Fantastic. But here we've got some juicy blackberries. What's not to love about blackberries? Juicy and versatile. Perfect. Just pick and eat straight from the bushes. However, if you have a bumper harvest, you can freeze these fruits and then bring them out a little at a time and put them in blended smoothies. What's your favourite way of enjoying these beautiful summer fruits? Perhaps you can leave some recipes, some ideas or some suggestions in the comment section below. I'd appreciate that. I actually find this work quite therapeutic. I love the sound that is made when removing these unwanted plants from this area. I love the sound it makes. I also love seeing the difference it makes. As you know, I don't use pesticides, weed killers or any of those things in the gardens. Our garden is organic in all areas. However, I have recently sort of neglected this section of the garden and yeah, it's time to do a little clearing back, removing some unwanted plants from this section and putting much of the unwanted plants into these metal containers, also some spent compost, and give it a new life really. Let it all break down, bits of cardboard, and make new soil. Also in the garden today, just moving around some furniture. I purchased this, I love it, this wooden box, and I'm going to restore it on some level, but I'm going to keep it in the garden. But I'm just moving it around at the moment because I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to change my mind and move things around. Here I am, struggling up the steps I recently replaced, but actually, no, I managed. It went quite well. Odd jobs around the garden, you know, one of those days where I'm moving around the garden and just seeing what needs doing. Some more garden waste that I can add to the metal raised bins. People often ask when making compost, how do you make compost and in what measurements? But to be honest, I don't know that there really is an answer, because in nature just makes it. There isn't a specific science to it, I don't believe. I don't think you need to have everything in exact measurements. Just as nature releases leaves and breaks down plants and fruits and vegetables and carbon and all of those things, it just becomes soil somehow. So I find with gardening, it can be quite not frightening per se, but it can be quite challenging when people feel that there's an absolute science or an absolute right way to doing things. I like to just enjoy the garden and sort of bend the rules if at all. And you can see here that I've used the spent compost that I've created over many years to grow these plants. Here, I'm actually pointing to watermelon. This is actually a watermelon that I've grown from seed, and so far so good. You can see when I first planted it into this area, and again the raised beds are mostly made from spent compost and garden waste and kitchen waste, and it appears to be doing just fine. I love that in our gardens we really do try to follow and mimic nature in many areas, absolutely not in all areas, but I'm trying to encourage those of us who would like to do gardening to just try and enjoy it. This seedling here I planted and it's growing really very well now. It was just taken from a butternut squash. Here again, watermelons, and I've never grown watermelons, but I don't care if they don't even produce fruits. It's just the fact that I'm trying and I'm observing nature and just seeing what will grow in these gardens. Tomatoes. We're always successful in growing tomatoes. Here I showed previously how I strung them up just to prevent them from flopping everywhere, and I'm loving what we're seeing at the moment. They have a way to go still, but they're growing incredibly well. Have you ever grown tomatoes before? Even as a youngster, I remember growing my first tomatoes from seeds, and for anyone who's never gardened before, and especially those of us with maybe young children or grandchildren, growing tomatoes from seeds is maybe one of the easiest things or easiest plants that we can encourage one to do, because they grow relatively fast, and I find even for children and very young children to see those tomatoes grow, the flowers, and then the small green tomatoes, and then the tomatoes that turn the yellow or red in colour. Children certainly enjoy picking their own foods that they have grown and are more encouraged and more likely to eat food that they have grown with their own hands. So if you're ever wondering in terms of creating a garden, whether you have a large or small garden, a balcony or a windowsill, I would always encourage maybe start from growing tomatoes. And tomatoes grow in so many different varieties, as we well know. Here I'm just pruning back some of the foliage around the tomatoes to create more aeration or space for the air to circulate around the plants. So I'm just gently removing some of the excessive foliage around these plants here. It's just lovely being in nature, it really is. The fresh air and actually the smell of the tomatoes. If you've never smelt the leaves of the tomatoes, it's really quite a pungent smell, and I mean that in a very positive way. It's really beautiful. So here I am, just twisting the new growth around the twine that I put to help support the plants. tomatoes will not grow on the horizontal branches. So if you look at this plant here, the one that's going up, the main shoot, is here. Vertical to that, the main shoot is here. At a roughly 90-degree angle, you get this horizontal to the ground branch. Tomatoes will not grow on this one. So what I tend to do is pinch it out slightly, just to increase the airflow inside the area. So the one that's horizontal to the ground, tomatoes will not grow on that. However, if you look at this one here, it's a very clear indication that there's one that's at 45-degree angle to the main stalk. Or can you see that that's the 90-degree angle? The 45-degree angle, that one, tomatoes will grow on that shoot. What you can do, in fact, if I look really closely in, hope you can hear me across the sound of the helicopter. If you look really closely in, that's going to be where the new flowers will start. What you can do, because this place here is actually quite congested, I can actually pinch this shoot out. I can pinch this out and make a whole new tomato plant. So all I need to do is pinch it out with my nails, of which I don't really have any now because I've cut them down. But what I need to do is pinch this one out, the one that grows at 45-degree angle, pinch or cut that one out, and then simply put it in soil and keep it well watered. This will make a whole new tomato plant. So let's do that. We've got the main stalk here. We've got the one at 90 degrees or horizontal to the ground, and we've got the one at 45 degrees. I'm going to pinch this one out, and this plant here is a whole new tomato plant. I'm going to pop that in some soil. This is a whole viable tomato plant, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to plant it so that the first leaf also goes into the soil, so it will start acting as a root as well to the new plant. Because it is currently without any root system, I need to make sure this remains very well watered. And we're going to come back to that, and you're going to see how easy it is to propagate or create a new tomato plant from your existing plants. Okay, so because it has no roots currently, it's very important to water it in very well and keep it very well watered. And here is that tomato plant, about a week or so later. You can see it's taken, and you know that because it is putting on some new growth. It's not looking wilted, it's looking healthy and very green in the leaves. And it just goes to show how easy it is to take a cutting from an existing tomato plant, propagate, and create some new tomato plants. The watermelon is also growing and putting on a lot of growth. Like I said, I have no idea whether it's going to be viable here in the UK, but it's just a joy to see that from a seed I have managed to grow not just the watermelons, but these also. These are butternut squashes and different squashes as well. The joy, the beauty of gardening, as you watch nature just produce from seeds. It's incredible. This is a space that is safe, a place that is enjoyable, a place that I encourage everyone to just get out into the nature and into the gardens if at all possible. A place, an opportunity for you to grow your own fruits, your own vegetables. No chemicals needed, no pesticides, no herbicides. The fresh air, the sound of the birds. an opportunity to connect with the soil, with nature. Please help to grow this community of supporters as you share these videos with friends and others who might be encouraged also to try and be in the garden and grow. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.